Welcome to BTA Fridays Breaking the Algorithm. I'm your host, Kelly Morgan. This is where indie authors stop chasing trends. We build strategy, visibility, and confidence. Around here, we don't follow the algorithm. We break it and put something better in its place. Let's get to today's episode. Everybody, welcome to another episode of BTA Breaking the Algorithm. Around here, we don't chase the algorithm, we break it and put something better in its place. My name is Kelly Morgan, indie author, indie publisher. So today I wanted to talk about something that I think is really important. It's the beginning of the year, 2026. Happy New Year, everybody. And so I think it's a perfect time to talk about vision, intention, and in goals. And more importantly, what happens after you set them. Because a lot of people talk about, setting the goals and I've got my vision board and I'm going to do my affirmations and here's how you manifest. But what doesn't get talked about is the messy middle. And this is the part where the motivation fades. This is the part that nobody posts. This is where nothing's going viral, right? But this is the part where the goal still matters, but the excitement and the momentum and the magic, when you first came up with it, may be gone. And so to me, this is the part that actually determines the outcome. So for 2026, this episode isn't about setting goals or anything like that. It's about shifting the focus away from the intention alone and actual toward execution. So here's the first thing. Vision is not a strategy. Intention is not a plan. And goal is not execution. But what they are, all of those things are starting points, right? So when I say breaking the algorithm, I mean learning, taking those things and how do we translate those starting points into actual, intentional, repeatable actions, right? They've got to be intentional, but more importantly, y'all, they got to be repeatable. So let's start with the vision part. Okay, so I have a vision board. I have two of them. I actually love affirmations, right? But the vision board and the affirmation usually describes the outcome, right? More readers, more impact, more income, more visibility. That's all the things that you put on the vision board, or those are all the things that the affirmation is about. So the execution question is very simple. What behavior supports that outcome? And this is where a lot of us indie authors get stuck. Me too. I'm not this expert, right? So when I think about execution, execution doesn't mean saying, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. That is not execution. In fact, the constantly of selling the book is often the least effective strategy. Real execution often means stepping away from the book itself and talking about what surrounds the book. And what do I mean by that? Things like, why did you write it? What problems does your book explore? Fact or fiction? Doesn't matter. What questions does it raise? What do the characters struggle with? And how do these struggles, if all, mirror real life? Let's just say that your book deals in grief or identity or body image or burnout or relationships or belonging. Those are real world conversations that people are already having. So talking about the issues creates connection. Do you see where I'm going with this? The book now becomes context. It's no longer a pitch. And that, my friends, is the strategy. So when you are thinking about, selling the book, it's not just buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. Look into the things that the book is about and pull those things out. And that is a strategy. All right, now let's talk about intention. Because intention without a system just to me feels like pressure. So instead of saying, I intend to market better, execution says, What does that look like in my day-to-day life? Is marketing my book sustainable on a day-to-day basis? Execution might be for you one thoughtful post that explores the theme of the book, or one short reflection tied to a character's decision, or one conversation that invites people in instead of selling to them. That is how intention becomes sustainable. All right, y'all. Now let's talk about goals. So, goals fail when they're not connected to any behavior. There's a disconnection there, and the behavior has to be daily, right? So instead of focusing your outcomes on something that you can't control, execution focuses on inputs that you can. So think about it this way. It's not sell more books, but it's show up consistently in a reader facing fashion. Maybe it's showing up consistently in reader facing conversations. Build stuff that is familiar, and that has shared ideas. Connect through meaning before you start asking people for money, right? These are actions that compound. This is the stuff that is what I would call the messy middle. It's not flashy, it's not fast, it's not sexy, it's not pretty, and it doesn't always show immediate results. But I'm here to tell you it works. Breaking the algorithm is not louder. It's not about louder marketing, right? Breaking the algorithm is about finding that deeper connection. When people resonate with the ideas in your story, the struggle, the question, the book becomes the natural step in a conversation. It's not a forced sell. So, if you're going into 2026 with goals, vision, and intention, here is the real shift. Stop asking how to promote the book, right? Stop asking yourself that and start asking yourself, how do I communicate the meaning behind the book? That is where the execution lies. The vision is what gets you started, right? So you've got this vision. Okay, I'm getting started, right? The intention is what keeps you grounded, right? I'm gonna be consistent every day. But the execution, consistent, thoughtful intention execution, that is what makes it real. The messy middle is something that you absolutely can't avoid. That is the work. That is the meat. That is the unsexy part. But you know what? That's the part, sometimes that is the most interesting. And that is how goals turn into outcomes. That's how strategy replaces empty promises. And y'all, that's how you start to break the algorithm. So let me go through my laundry list of things. If you are a creative in this space and you would like to share the platform with me, I have the author's mic. It's every Monday. Go to my website, go to a Be a Guest tab, fill out the information, and boom, you are a guest. Easy peasy. If you are starting your indie author journey, I have a 44-page guide on my website. It's free. I've actually turned it into a beautiful flip book, or you can download the PDF. It's called So You Want to Write a Book. It's free. Go get it, start your journey. If you are interested in supporting me, I have two books out there. Wait for it, which is a audiobook as well as print, and then You Sound White, which is print only. Both are available from me. I'm happy to ship them, sign them. I've got some free goodies. I'm happy to do all of that, and I'll ship them for no charge. However, no pressure. You are welcome to get them wherever good books are sold. And lastly, if you would love to join our book club, I would love to have you. One of my goals for 2026 is to grow the book club. So I'd love to have your voice. All the information's on the website. It's called the IRS, the Indie Reader Society. If you are a reader, join us. If you are an author, pitch us. We are looking for a new book, and we would love to hear all about your book and decide if we're going to read it. We don't know about your book if you don't tell us about it. So, y'all, breaking the algorithm, you can take your visions, you can take your intentions, and you can actually turn that into real strategy by using consistent, thoughtful, intentional execution. All right, you guys, this is the first Friday of 2026. Many, many, many more Fridays to come. You guys keep writing, keep breaking the algorithm, and I'm going to catch you next Friday. Happy New Year, and let's get it for 2026.